Hi, I'm Shao. A viewer of this channel asked me about the relations between acuity or edge sharpness and dimensionality. Now, the relation between those two variables or two aesthetic aspects of an image is indirect. An image may be poppy when the sharpness is very good, where there is a lot of detail in the image. And it can be very good when the image is slightly softer, when the subject is not even in sharp focus. Generally, I would say that intense blur of parts of the image, either due to excessive softness of a lens, or more commonly due to a narrow depth of field, diminish pop. When you look at an image, you unconsciously search for cues, for the structure of the scene depicted in that two-dimensional image. We discussed all this stuff in a recent video, but in general, the more cues there are for the distance of different subjects or objects from the camera, the easier the image is on your eyes, because you don't have to engage a cognitive process in order to decipher the dimensionality of the scene. It is all there in front of you, and it is easy for our brains to interpret. In the image that is shown on the screen right now, there is a lot of detail. There's a lot of dimensional information, a lot of cues to suggest at what distance each object in the images from the camera, roughly. Those cues include scaling information. The closer to the camera, the larger the object appears in the image. And if it's a familiar object, like an adult human being, or a tree, then it is easy to estimate the distance according to the relative size. There is also a cue related to occlusion. Closer objects will always occlude further away ones. So that is a good cue to the relative distance of different parts of the image. This image does not contain much aerial perspective. It was shot on a very crisp day, one of those cold and dry winter days when there is not much haze, and the mountains at a distance look quite contrasty and crisp. But there is something else. The lens I use to shoot this image has a high level of light dispersion. So it gives the surfaces, different surfaces in the image, a natural looking curvature. So it is rather a straightforward process to interpret the shape or the form of every object in the image. This image was shot with very flat, even light conditions. There's not a lot of help from side lighting that may suggest textures or the layers in this image by differential brightness. However, it still looks rather poppy, or shall we say dimensional. It is easy to look at this image. There is a sort of flow to it. Despite the high level of dimensionality in images such as this one, it wasn't taken with a sharp lens. In fact, it was taken with an old zoom lens, the Nikon 28 to 105, f3.5 to 4.5. That was introduced during the 90s, so it was made to shoot film, not even digital. But the sharpness and especially the contrast are sufficient to represent that scene in a true to life, in an easy to look at manner. There is no lack of detail in this image. In fact, it is rather detailed, rather busy. Compare it to the following image that should be on the screen now. It's a different scene, but it has a lot in common with the previous one. It's a landscape take with a similar focal length, and the light is rather flat and even in this image too. However, in this one you cannot see the same dimensionality. Everything looks flatter. There is not enough differentiation between different objects in the scene. You cannot really perceive their shape because the lens used, despite being at very similar settings, it was shot with a Sigma 28mm at f5.6. This lens does not have a lot of light dispersion, or at least not a lot of dispersion coming out of it. It is a much sharper lens, but it is also flatter. Despite having a lot of detail, this image does not look the same. It is not as easy on the eye. You have to really look closely and to decipher it, to correctly evaluate the distances. There are as many cues to distance in this image and in the previous one we saw. But here there is something missing. According to my hypothesis, what is missing is the very natural gradation, tonal gradation from shadows to highlights that makes the curvature of surfaces easy to interpret, that readily represent the shapes of objects. So how sharp does the lens have to be? Let's talk about it. And I'm warning you, it's quite a deep dive, so please stay with me. Looking an image from a comfortable viewing distance where you can see the whole image with one glance from edge to edge, your eyes, or the average human vision, can discern between about 2,700 positions across the width of the image. It doesn't matter what the print size is. The bigger the print size, the further away you have to look at it to view the whole image without having to move your head or move your eyes. Considering the enlargement ratios, if you calculate how much resolution you need, or what is the effective or visible pixel pitch on the sensor, you will reach a value of about 12 microns, which is larger than what you get from any modern imaging sensor. For example, the Nikon D700 that was used to capture the first image has a pixel pitch of about 8.4 microns. The Nikon D780 that was used to capture the second image has a pixel pitch of about 6 microns. Other cameras have much smaller pixel pitches. The Sony A7R5, for example, with its 61 megapixel sensor, has a pixel pitch of about 3.8 microns. The new Fujifilm cameras that use a sensor of 40 megapixels, but it's a smaller sensor, it's an APS-C one, have a pixel pitch of about 3 microns. If you take the whole image captured by the entire surface of the sensor, you only need about 12 microns. Smaller than that we cannot perceive when looking at the image from a comfortable viewing distance. Now, of course, the enlargement ratio changes. The more you crop the image, either by doing it consciously during post-processing, or by using a smaller than full frame sensor, you will need to enlarge the image a little bit more. So you will need a smaller visible pixel pitch. On an APS-C camera, you will need a pixel pitch of about 9 microns. And on a Micro Four Thirds camera, you will need a pixel pitch of about 6 microns. A tighter crop than this will likely be visible in the image. It will not appear as sharp from a comfortable viewing distance. So you should always be careful with the aggressiveness of cropping. The higher the visible pixel pitch on the sensor, the more room you have for light dispersion, which creates this dimensional portrayal of the image. This is why larger sensors have a more dimensional look when using older lenses with a large radius of dispersion or of light scattering. Certain lens has a dispersion radius of 12 microns, for instance. It will not really soften the image when captured by a full frame sensor, but it will show slight softening when capturing the same image on an APS-C sensor, because the visible pixel pitch is smaller than the radius of dispersion coming out at the rear of the lens. So I think that the best dimensional lenses would be ones that strike a good balance between the size of the sensor and the dispersion radius. The more dispersion, the more dimensional the image would look. But then you cannot really go over the top. There is a limit to the dispersion that is allowed for keeping the image look sharp. And that limit is the visible pixel pitch. Lenses that are designed to resolve smaller pixel pitches, like most modern lenses made these days, that are supposed to resolve the new, very detailed sensors, cannot allow enough dispersion to portray the dimensionality of the image in a satisfactory manner. So they have to contain a lot of anti-dispersion glass, which is ED glass. And the images they produce are generally more flat because there is not enough dispersion to make the curvature seem natural to our eyes. to resolve 12 microns, which is what is needed for looking at an image captured on a full-frame sensor without cropping, is about 42 line pairs per millimeter. That is quite a high demand. I'm not sure that 28 to 105 zoom lens reaches this type of resolving power. I think it's more likely to be around maybe 35 line pairs per millimeter, but still the high level of gradation and the contrast this lens offers compensate for the lack of resolving power, and the images it makes look detailed enough. The lens used to capture the second example shown has a much higher resolving power. It's probably around 60 or 65 line pairs per millimeter. But the image still looks flat because this lens is corrected perhaps too well for chromatic aberration, and it does not convey the same tonal gradation. Its contrast is too high. The gradation is just too steep, and it fails to give us a natural impression of curvatures. So basically the answer to that question is that there is a connection between dimensionality and acuity, but it is not very strict. I think that dimensionality is easier to judge in the sharp portions of an image, or at least relatively sharp ones. Too much blurring of the background of different surfaces in the image diminishes the amount of visual cues to depth, to distance. The lens should also maintain a sufficient level of global contrast at that 30 to 40 line per millimeter range. Lenses that are not contrasty enough will also look flat, despite having quite sufficient light dispersion. In that case, there will just not be enough separation of tones to let us interpret the distance, the shapes correctly. Such lenses are many kit zooms or cheaper or very old optics that do not convey the whole tonality of the scene. That said, it is easier to add contrast to an image than remove contrast. So I think that by proper post-processing, you can increase the perception of dimensionality from such images than from very high contrast, very high acuity lenses, such as that Sigma used to capture the second image in this. Right, this will be all for today. If you found this video interesting, if you enjoy the contents on this channel, please consider buying me a coffee. There's a link in the description below. It's a nice gesture between gentlemen. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon.